Does getting stronger automatically make a soccer player faster? That sounds obvious. More strength should mean more speed, right? But this study shows the answer is not that simple. In this video, we are looking at the article, Effects of Concentric and Concentric-Eccentric Resistance Training on Speed and Force in Adult Soccer Players. It was published in Scientific Reports by Bokůvka and colleagues. The study tested whether two strength training methods could improve speed and force production in sub-elite adult soccer players. And the main finding is exactly what coaches need to understand. The players got stronger, but they did not get significantly faster. That is the transfer problem. More force does not always mean more speed. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Sports Science Insight. Here we break down sports science research into simple, practical, and evidence-based insights for athletes, coaches, students, and practitioners. Let's break it down. Soccer is not played at one constant speed. It is decided by short, explosive actions. A sprint to reach the ball first. An acceleration to escape a defender. A deceleration before changing direction. A sharp cut to create space. A short burst to press, recover, or attack. These actions often happen in just a few meters. That is why speed matters so much in soccer. But speed in soccer is not only straight line running. It also includes change of direction, braking ability, coordination, and the ability to move with or without the ball. A player may be strong in the gym, but still not express that strength quickly enough on the field. That is the key point. Small speed differences can decide duels, transitions, and scoring chances. So the question is not only, can we make players stronger? The better question is, can we make that strength transfer to soccer speed? The study compared two strength training methods. The first was concentric training. A concentric contraction happens when the muscle shortens while producing force. For example, lifting the weight during a leg extension or leg curl. The second was concentric-eccentric training. This includes both the lifting phase and the lowering phase. The eccentric phase happens when the muscle lengthens under tension. For example, controlling the weight on the way down. Eccentric work is important because it can create high muscular tension and may improve strength, power, hypertrophy, and muscle control. In soccer, that sounds very relevant. Players need to accelerate, decelerate, absorb force, and re-accelerate. So the hypothesis makes sense. Concentric-eccentric training might improve strength and maybe speed more than concentric training alone. But the real question is whether those gains transfer to the field. Eccentric work may build strength, but transfer still depends on the task. The study included 34 healthy sub-elite soccer players. They were divided into three groups. One group performed concentric training, one group performed concentric-eccentric training, and one group acted as the control group. The intervention lasted 8 weeks. The two training groups completed 16 strength training sessions. The exercises focused on the knee extensors and knee flexors. In practice, that means leg extension and leg curl exercises. The concentric group performed the lifting phase with no resistance during the eccentric phase. The concentric-eccentric group performed both phases, including controlled eccentric work. Before and after the 8-week intervention, the players completed speed and strength tests. So the study tested a very practical question. Would isolated strength gains transfer to speed performance in soccer players? The researchers measured both speed and strength. That matters because if we only measure strength, we might think the program worked perfectly. But if the goal is soccer performance, we also need to know whether that strength changed sprinting and change of direction. The speed tests included 10-meter sprint, 30-meter sprint, the same sprint tests with the ball, change of direction speed, and change of direction with the ball. These are much closer to soccer-specific actions than a gym test alone. For strength, the researchers measured 1 repetition maximum in knee extension and knee flexion. They also used isometric and isokinetic strength tests. So this was not only a simple gym study. It asked whether force capacity improved and whether that improvement appeared in speed-related actions. The researchers measured both force capacity and game-relevant speed actions. That is what makes the result so useful for coaches. Now we get to the first major result. Strength clearly improved. Both training groups increased lower limb strength. In knee extension 1 repetition maximum, the concentric group improved by about 17.5%. The concentric-eccentric group improved by about 18.3%. In knee flexion 1 repetition maximum, the concentric group improved by about 10.5%. The concentric-eccentric group improved by about 12.2%. So both methods worked for strength. The concentric-eccentric group showed slightly better results in several strength variables. That makes sense, because eccentric work can increase mechanical tension and may stimulate strong neuromuscular adaptations. So the strength message is clear: the players became stronger, especially in the lower limb strength tests. If the only goal were force production in isolated knee extension and flexion, the intervention was successful. But the next slide is where the story becomes more important. Here is the critical finding: speed did not significantly improve. Even though the players got stronger, sprint performance did not show clear, meaningful improvement. There were no significant gains in the sprint tests, no clear improvement in change of direction speed, and no clear transfer to ball-related speed actions. The concentric group showed a small 2.8% improvement in the 10-meter sprint. But overall, the speed results were minor and not strong enough to say that the strength training clearly improved speed. This is the coaching lesson: strength gains did not automatically transfer to sprint speed. And that should not surprise us. Sprinting is not only force production, it also depends on technique, posture, stiffness, ground contact, coordination, timing, and the ability to apply force in the right direction at the right moment. In other words, the engine got stronger, but the transmission did not automatically improve. This study is really about the transfer gap. On one side, we have the gym, controlled exercises, isolated muscle actions, leg extension, leg curl, 1 repetition maximum. On the other side, we have the field. Acceleration, deceleration, change of direction, sprint mechanics, ball control, decision-making, opponent pressure. These are not the same task. A player can improve strength in a controlled machine movement without automatically improving the coordination needed for faster sprinting. That does not mean strength training is useless. It means strength is only one part of speed. Speed is not just strength. It is strength expressed with timing and skill. To transfer strength to soccer speed, athletes need exercises that connect force production with field movement. That includes sprinting, plyometrics, acceleration drills, deceleration work, and change of direction practice. The gap between the gym and the field must be trained. So what should coaches do? The answer is not to stop strength training. The answer is to integrate it better. Resistance training can build the physical foundation. It can improve force capacity. It can strengthen the quadriceps and hamstrings. It can support injury resilience. And it can prepare the athlete for higher speed work. But to improve soccer speed, strength must be paired with speed-specific training. That means short sprints, acceleration drills, plyometrics, change of direction drills, deceleration training, and field tasks that match the demands of soccer. The goal is not only to build strength. The goal is to teach the athlete how to express that strength quickly and efficiently. So the practical formula is: build force in the gym, transfer force on the field, then measure whether the athlete actually gets faster. To improve soccer speed, strength must be trained and transferred. So what are the practical takeaways from this study? First, both concentric and concentric-eccentric resistance training improved lower limb strength. Second, the concentric-eccentric approach showed slightly better strength results. Third, strength improvements did not automatically become speed improvements. Fourth, isolated leg extension and leg curl training may not be enough to improve soccer sprint performance. Fifth, coaches should measure both strength and speed, because if you only measure strength, you may miss the real performance question. The key lesson is simple: build strength, but train speed. Strength is the engine, but speed needs the right transmission. That transmission is technique, coordination, ground contact, acceleration mechanics, deceleration, and field-specific practice. If this video helped you, leave a like, subscribe to Sports Science Insight, and stay tuned for more evidence-based content on training, performance, recovery, and sports science. And tell me in the comments, have you seen players get stronger in the gym without getting faster on the field? See you in the next breakdown.